And that's going to start us off.
Oh, I'm left-handed, but
Same one.
Bang.
You can't hear the music, but I'm playing the music, and there's crowds cheering here.
Beautiful.
Where's the Pope in the studio today? Thank you, boys. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having
I
us.
will start around the table because you confused me with your names as we were getting warmed up here. So please go around the table. This is Where's the Pope?
Gary.
He's Frank.
I'm Frank, yeah.
I'm Dave, playing drums for Where's the Pope.
Yep, Alex, play guitar.
I'm Geoff, play guitar.
And Rob, I play bass.
Play the harmonica. Yeah. Great start. Great start. Hey, first question I ask everyone, if you could be an animal, what animal would you be and why? Who wants to start?
I would be an eagle because I think they're cool-looking
Jeez, Jeff,
birds.
seriously?
And I used to
Let him
barrack
go
for
first.
the West Torrens. They're very cool animals and they don't have any natural predators
That's true.
and they're beautiful-looking creatures.
Few people say eagles. It's
Yeah, really?
it's
Yeah,
been
it's a
said.
pretty
Yeah.
bog standard response.
No. What are you then, Frank? What would be your?
But
what animal would you
jaguar.
be?
A jaguar.
Yeah, I like the way that they live in trees and sleep in trees, and they just kill everything. But they're good animals. They're just nice and they
Misunderstood.
look good. They're strong. I would have said eagle as well because I think that's a good one. But I think apart from that, I think a jaguar. They're just they're not like your lions and tigers that get all the publicity. They're just sitting there at the top of the tree and they're just I like them.
Brilliant.
I reckon, I was over in Nepal and I saw a red panda at over there, and I reckon it was the coolest, most chill-looking animal that I've ever seen in my life, and I reckon I'll probably just roll with that and just hang out in trees and lax out.
Yeah.
Nice. I like
I've
it.
seen some of the pandas, that's what I would have said.
Yeah,
They
nice.
just hang around,
Yeah.
do nothing.
Well, did you say red panda as
So
well?
is that?
No, panda, normal panda.
Oh, you're a normal panda.
Like a white panda.
Mate,
went-
normal panda. So you're going to
They
be
just fuck
extinct
around
because
all day long.
You only eat
Fall out of
one food. You don't root and have babies.
It's a boring diet. It's a boring
You're your
diet.
own worst enemy.
Wee Wee and Poofy, weren't they?
They never got it done, did they?
No, they didn't.
They
They
didn't.
didn't.
And they're gone now.
Yeah,
We got new ones.
I remember while Rob's thinking. I remember one of the classes that I had. We were doing the old what we would call growth and development lessons, and one of the kids for you don't mind if we swear to years old?
No, swearing's
so
good.
we, in that you get kids to write down words they associate with growth and development, and one of them up there, we put sex up the top, and they had to write all this stuff. You got your normal fucks.
Yeah.
And someone else said putting wang wang in Foonie. I had to stop myself laughing because that was gold. Yeah, that was gold.
Creative thinking.
Anyway, Rob, I gave you a pause.
You got lots of time. It's pretty.
There you
It's
go.
a hard call, really, isn't it? Like, I'm just going to go
Stink
local.
bug.
Go dingo, maybe a dingo.
Dingo.
Just
Haven't
keep
had a
it
dingo
going
before.
And just like go hang out on the island, like Fraser Island. What do
edgy.
they call it? I'm sorry, apologize. I forgot the name, the new name, or the old name, let's say.
Sure.
But no, it just runs around, does its own thing, and just hangs on its own. And if it maybe pack a bit, But no, it's just a dog. I like a dog. I would love
Dog
to be
and an Aussie dog.
An
Yeah.
Aussie dog.
Dingo, Fraser
You mean
Island.
the Fraser Island dingoes, not the Alice Springs.
Hybrids.
Not
the Fraser Island
Uluru
domestic dogs.
dingoes.
The Fraser Island ones are I've got
They say
my
they're the
dad's
only-
shoelace from a dingo stealing his shoes on Fraser
Really?
Island
Wow.
once, and we
Cool.
for some reason saved the shoelace and it's in a fucking photo.
There's been a saying something like that in the past. A dingo stole my
Yeah.
shoelace. Was it?
Dingo's popular in the
Yeah.
80s.
An historical
Very
fact.
What about you? What would you be?
the script
no
on
one's
it.
asked what. When I
Flip the
first
script
started
on
doing
him.
this podcast, I said I wasn't going to give the answer until I'd done at least 20 shows.
Yeah.
And we've gone past 20 shows
Good.
now.
There you
There
go.
we go.
But mine was something that I thought was so incredible because something that can change colour and shape and morph and all these different things, live in the land and on the sea, and you got 8 arms to do amazing things with, and a brain that obviously can probably handle 8 arms. So I'd be an octopus.
Yeah.
I think an octopus is a
That's a
pretty
good one.
cool creature. Yeah.
Apparently, the equivalent intelligence of an educated 6-year-old. I reckon.
No shit.
They can solve
There you
the
go.
same sort of problems.
Yeah.
I assume that's good because you don't have any problems, do you?
No, and you know, like I mean, that could be a year or so out of that, but I have seen that in in a documentary on them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they
octopus
so they
teacher
know
or
exactly
whatever.
what's
Oh,
happening.
that might. Yeah,
Imagine
that might
you've got
teacher.
8
That's
arms
crazy.
and you can
Yeah.
make all of them work
Yeah.
independently.
And
And
they
a
have
couple of
colours
hugs
as
and
well.
all
Yeah,
that.
change your
A
colour.
couple of hearts.
Yeah, well, more than don't they have?
No shit.
Octopus.
Or is
There
that
we go.
cuttlefish? Or, I don't know. I'm probably wrong. I like to
go with that.
make
Says
stuff
the
up.
teacher.
If you can't be intelligent, you may as well sound intelligent.
So you're a teacher and this is your class, is that
Yeah,
right, Frank?
That's all right.
Yeah, at the moment.
How are your students going?
Oh, you know, we've had good days and bad days. Yeah, we've had to have a couple of detentions this week. No, it's all good, mate. All good. Been very good. Returning.
You guys have been together. You tell me, I've seen you performing for decades. I've got plenty of old footage that we're going to be able to overlay over this conversation. A bit of new stuff. Take it away. Tell us, how did you form a band? Who are the original members and how did that start? And when did that start?
Well, I'm the ultra original. So when Where's the Pope's beginnings were myself, Phil Rady, the original drummer, and Phil Curran, a guitarist. We had another bass player who didn't work out, and that was when Rob was suggested. And so Rob and I are the originals. And yeah, that was 85. 85, first gig 86, so that's 40 years. And yeah, then, you know, so we did that. That was, and that
40 years.
Yeah.
That's 40 years.
It
That's
is.
a fucking long time.
40 years this year.
Yeah, and I mean, part of that longevity too, though, is that there would be different stages after a few years of playing where someone would go overseas and be gone for 6 months, or there'd be a break of a year and things like that. So that helped us restart all the time. But yeah, so that was the origins, was just a bunch of mates.
So
sort of getting together.
where did the idea start from you? In school, like what was your thing to get together with a couple of guys and start playing music?
It was after school, but I mean, I'd always wanted to be in a band, sort of through school, when I started going to see live music, and especially bands like Midnight Oil when they were young and hard, and then got into punk and that sort of stuff, and it just took a while for me to really, I guess, get some belief and courage that we could do it, yeah, and then find the right people. Yeah. So it was we're lucky. We Rob, Phil Rady, the original guitarist Phil was great to get started, but probably wasn't the right person.
How did you guys connect? How did your first few guys connect?
Well, I suppose I knew Phil Curran through just going. I was already been in a punk band earlier on and playing like the producers, playing gigs like that, and then I knew Phil and everyone just from going to see music. Phil Curran, and that's how they knew Frank, and then we all got together from there. Where's the Pope? The name probably didn't happen until after I joined, but like Matty Templeton was the guy who put the original bass player I think he had a jam with.
Yeah.
But then we all hooked up. We all were into the same music, into early. American West Coast
sounding,
more than
punk
British.
band.
The earlier punk bands was in sort of like more British sort of style influence, but then started to lean towards the American side, and that's what Frank and Phil and that were right into, and I was into. So we started jamming, playing songs like that, and just what we wanted to play was high energy, fast, flashy stuff.
Yeah.
Where were you playing? Do you remember your first few gigs? Or?
Yeah, well, the first time we ever played was a party, and that was at Coromandel Valley, which wound up being one of those very infamous birthday parties where people go nuts, and like cars being rolled down the side of a cliff and things like that. Then our first gig though was at Flinders Uni, so that was with Lizard Train. I've got a picture somewhere, but yeah, that was just a Flinders Uni gig, and just went from there.
I suppose Phil Rady, the original drummer, was part of the surf club in the uni bar. So he got us a gig there. I think that's probably how the
Surf
sort
and
of
Snow
channeled
Club
in.
were the ones who really they were all made, because gig, Phil was part of that club up at Flinders, and so they would get us in. We were almost like their house band for a while. Yeah,
It's good who you know.
Excuse me. Yeah, and we were playing lots of parties. I was talking to someone last night and saying how I think one of the reasons that early on that people liked us was that we weren't doing anything better than other bands or anything really that different, but we played to lots of friends, and then the parties, and the wilder the parties got, the more people came along and thought, oh, this band's okay because look at these parties we can get to with them playing.
Associated you with this
And we
wild
got associated,
shit.
with this stuff.
Literally Sunday afternoon Barbies
And-
words came from those parties because we were playing Sunday afternoon Barbie parties all the time.
And they were, some of them were huge. Yeah, massive things.
Like full packed backyards.
Yeah.
I remember that one in only whatever, just a Goodwood way, and when Gig, we were playing inside the house, and the crowd surged forward, and literally Gig, the drummer, went out the window. Like his kids surged forward. His window was open behind him, and he's pushed through the window, falls out into the garden, and just was trying to play it. He's, where's Gig gone? He's out the window.
And we played one on Oaklands Road, and they pushed the fence down in the backyard to give more room between two properties, sort of thing.
Hope for the neighbours were cool. But
You ashamed, so.
Now,
So it was,
now things have changed.
and playing those really got our name out there, and then because Geoff was in the Mice back in those days, and so we had a pretty good scene going in Adelaide already, and it was just the place Adelaide opened up because it was just there were bands everywhere.
Yeah.
It was a really good scene when we got going, and there wasn't a lot of places to play, but there were good regular places to play. The two unis were fantastic, Flinders and Adelaide. The producers, even Lark and Tina's.
The Tivoli,
the
was
Tivoli,
really good back then.
Yeah, you could get a gig. Yeah,
Every weekend there was bands playing multiple gigs to go to. It was hard because where do we go tonight, But we were going out like 5-6 nights a week sometimes, if you include practice and things like that.
Yeah, if you look
And
at
how
old gig guides from then, if you look at them now,
Yeah.
it's like Thursday, Friday,
Yeah.
Saturday nights, there would have been 6 or 7
Yeah.
bands. You think, oh shit, I want to see all of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And how would you get booked? Like, how would you get into the venues to perform once
we-
you've gone from the parties?
Yeah, well, I reckon in the early days, I think Phil, the drummer, Phil Rady, used to organise booking a lot of stuff, and then we would have friends as managers, so they would sort of
Help.
start off by going to places, and then once you get your name there, they come to you.
Yeah.
So and I'm sure Geoff would have found that with the Mice as well. Once you start pulling people in, pubs come to you.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot easier to get a gig, and you can pick and choose. And we always said we didn't want to play every week, so we would generally have a month between gigs.
Yeah.
Sometimes more. If we might play 2 weekends in a row, but then we'd have a break because we didn't write songs that quickly, and so we didn't want to bore people or have them just get used to the same stuff for too long. Yeah, so we split it up a bit, and when people liked it, I think it meant that they were looking forward to the next gig as well. Yeah.
We were lucky we could get, and there was other people that we knew who were friends in other bands, so we could actually play with the people we wanted to play with, and like who were friends, and we'd like not. I wouldn't say we manufactured or consciously did it, but you'd create a party by picking the bands that you enjoyed and played with, and everybody felt like they had a good time because it was their favourite bands playing,
Yeah.
So you
And
sort
you just
of get
watch
along.
you play this one, you're in the middle of 5, and then you watch the next 4, and where we go on the list.
we never really played with bands we didn't know.
Yeah.
It was sort of always people, and if someone back in the day had used the old dial-up phone and go, Frank, I've started a band. You just trust if they were in a band. You go, okay, you'll be fine. Get 6 songs and we'll chuck you on. Yeah.
So how does that compare to now, like 30, 40 years later? How does that feel, or is that feeling still there?
Depends what periods you're talking about. So, for example, my period, like I started playing in punk bands on about 2001. Sort of, so I missed all the parties in the 90s. Where's the Pope? And I never actually saw Where's the Pope until I started playing for Where's the Pope at school. But I knew them I knew who Where's the Pope were back then. But what you guys are talking about sounds exactly the same as the punk rock community that I grew up in as well. So that was 2000 to 2015. All the bands are your friends.
Yeah.
Bass player of my band,
Same
Footy
thing.
from Clarity Records, he ran 2 Bucks Records, and all the bands are on his label, and we'd all it sounds very, very similar to that basically. So it's, the answer. I mean, I hope it's the same way now, but I'm not sure, not being as close to the sort of all the newer punk bands that are coming through and stuff. But I'd like to think that that's the one thing about punk rock is it's all community and friend based, and exactly. You see one band.
Yeah. It's not even just punk as well, because we had that in the Tribe is Forming and Seeds of Babylon.
Yeah.
We'd play a show and it would all just be our friends.
Yeah.
That was the entire... but there's still
And big enough to
150
fill a hall
people.
and so on.
Oh, yeah. Everyone knew everyone. It's
Yep.
a great vibe.
Yeah, and even with the two reunions at the Gov, because I guess I sort of organised those, and part of the goal was to find out if friends were in bands that were still playing and get them on, because I mean, they wound up going really well, so it was a good way for people to understand some of these guys are still playing.
Yeah.
So you might not be going to see bands because you're getting a bit older, but keep an eye out because Numbskulls are still playing.
Clams.
Clams are still playing.
Meanies.
The Meanies, they're still around, and just So
And
it's-
Numbskull, they've kept playing the whole way through there.
Yeah.
No real great big breaks and all the rest of it in there. And others as well.
yeah, so it sort of still runs the same sort of way. It's just
So you guys, you've all mentioned you've all been parts of different bands as well. Maybe fill us in on a bit of that, guys.
I suppose earlier bands was like young sort of stuff, punk stuff that started off was, but then Where's the Pope kicked in and then played in another band called Wormtongue, who ended up being, and then the drummer from that drummed for us for a while, Jake, and then Where's the Pope sort of kicked on as well after that, and then I had a bit of a break for a while after that, played in a band with Mark Hayes called Belial for a while, which we only did one show, but then they played in other forms, but then most recently, I suppose, played in Meat Beaters for the last about 10 plus years. So that's been great fun. And we kicked in again from there. So we've just sort of snuck back in and done the reunion shows over the last few years, which has been good. It's been great.
Yeah, well, I was in Exploding White Mice, and we played a few shows with Where's the Pope back in the day.
We did, yeah.
Which was always great. And after the Mice, I was in... while the Mice was still going, I was in a hardcore band called Price of Silence. And
the best hardcore band Adelaide
goes
ever
without saying.
had.
That's
Ever.
we played with Where's the Pope as well back then, so it's all sort of like a bit of a full circle for me. But after the Mice finished, I was in another band called Barbed Wire Dolls with Pete Howlett from The Freaks and Jay Young from The Freaks, just doing punk covers. And then I had a bit of a break for a while, and I was been in Cull, the band, for the last 5 or 6 years. And while I was playing in them, Where's the Pope decided to do a reunion show. It was only going to be a one-off at the Gov, and they sort of...
They always are.
Yeah.
Been known for that.
Just the intention.
World tour coming up soon. But they decided they wanted to beef up their sound a bit and get a second guitarist and ask me if I wanted to do it. And here we are.
Great.
And I'm having a ball. It's just great. It's fantastic.
When I spoke to Geoff about the possibility of a Where's the Pope reunion and would you be interested, I remember him saying, because it was a Meanies gig, and Geoff said to me, I'm not sure I can do Where's the Pope stuff. I said, mate, you're in Price of Silence. That's right, yeah. I forgot about that,
Dementia.
Very good. Yeah, I guess I started Where's the Pope in, 98, something like that.
Around that, something like that.
And we had a few good years. It's just great to be involved. After Where's the Pope, I started playing in Tribe is Forming, sort of hip-hop, funk, but used to play a bit of punk and metal as well in that band, but predominantly hip-hop. Then I moved to Newcastle and played, because I play drums as well. I played drums in a Mayday Way Hey band for about 4 or 5 years.
I didn't know that was their name.
Mayday Way Hey.
Nice.
Good name.
But yeah, I've always trying to start something over in Newcastle with a couple of mates as well, just playing bits and pieces, old punk covers and stuff. So it's great to be doing this again. It's really reignited, the love of playing guitar and getting back right into.
So you're not based in Adelaide now?
No,
anymore?
I'm in Newcastle.
Yep.
Yeah,
Flying
so-
out in a couple of hours.
Yeah,
Rock star.
fly down for
Flies in for a
fly
jam.
out for a rehearsal.
Business class as well.
Private jet.
Keep winning seats. So yeah, it's great playing again for sure. It's a great buzz, isn't it?
Shows
It's a nice bit of nostalgia.
And yeah, I kind of slot in. I had never really met any of the boys before, and I got a phone call from Frank. I'd previously been playing in a band called Stolen Youth for the last 25 years, basically, and for the last 15 in another band called High Time. And always preferred and loved playing just fast punk drums. Like it's what I do. And Frank hit me up, asked if I'd like to be in Where's the Pope, and for me it was awesome because I knew Where's the Pope from when I was year 8 or something like that. I actually had a compilation CD that I made. We used to make compilation CDs, and the very opening track was a Where's the Pope song, was Fear of God. And I made that when I was 14 or something like that. But I'd never seen them. Yeah. But that was the opening. Like you know, you always put your favourite song at the start of the compilation. Yeah. So that was the opening thing to my 14-year-old compilation. And so I'd always loved them. And then I was just like, oh shit, I just missed the boat. Never got to see them. Missed a couple of the Marine shows that were done. I remember we had a show that night. We were playing Enigma, Stolen Youth, when you were playing down at the music hall, whatever it was, Fowlers. And I thought that was my one chance to ever see him, so I was super bummed. And then 10 years later, get a call from Frank, asked if I want to do it, and didn't even think twice. I was like, I can already play half the stuff I can play. I had the CD, I didn't have any of the records, any of the vinyls. I had the CD, and I pretty much knew that because just from listening to it for 20 years. And then it's been awesome just learning the whole back catalogue. And I mean, as Frank says, the first show was in '86 in Coromandel Valley. Probably I was 5 minutes down the road just being born in Coromandel Valley. Blackwood Hospital, and I lived in Coromandel Valley. So I was literally, my mum was walking me through the door while you guys were down the road bailing out of fucking
You
massive
still should
party.
have been there, mate.
So the fact that it's a 40th year for the band, also my 40th year, it's
cool.
pretty wild for the band's legacy to have been sticking around for that long. And great fun music to play, great band to be in, loving it.
Pretty proud of that, to say 40 years after you started an idea, you're still kind of living that
doing
and partying well.
We've been
fun.
blessed that we've been able to last this long. That people liked us for whatever reason.
Still buying tickets.
Just jumped on board and stayed on board, and we're always thankful for that. Yeah, very, very.
The other boys
blessed.
said bands. Like, did you play in other bands, Frank, or it's been Where's the Pope?
Just Where's the Pope,
That's the whole way through.
Yeah, when Where's the Pope finished, I had a few guys lined up to maybe start another band, and it was going to be more metalcore type. But for one reason or another, a couple of the guys who I was going to play in the band with, their main band started to get bigger and bigger. So then it just fell apart, and then I just that was when I went back to uni to do my teaching degree, and then I just left it because I was flat out doing that.
I mean, all you guys, the names that you guys have rattled off there, that you've just said, they're all pretty big bands. They're some pretty impressive names that would have drawn good crowds yesterday and today.
A lot of talented people that I get to play in a band with. Except Gary's not here. Gary.
Keyboard player.
He's late.
Adelaide's like that though. We're surrounded by people who are just living in an underground level, but really talented, and a lot of good musicians, a lot of great bands around, and we're just really lucky to have sort of been surfing that ride, like being on that road with all everyone else as well. And that's why those parties and those gigs all grew and got bigger and bigger. And that's why it's good to hear that hopefully it's still happening today, and it has kept going, because Adelaide's like that. It just sits back and it does the business, gets the bands going, people play well, and they come up with really good ideas. So
it was a huge live scene. Back 20 years ago, I was I'd go see you guys at all the pubs and the venues. It seemed to be there was 10 venues on a Friday night and a Saturday night that would have 5 bands each.
Yeah.
I think
Does
it's still
that still happen
there's still
now?
a lot of
or-
really good bands. The number of venues has just
Yeah.
shrunk
Yeah.
a lot. So it's
Is that what? Do you think? Surely the audience is still there. or they just don't want to take the risk that maybe they like other things.
So
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think from my perspective when we were playing, it was sort of like if people liked you, they'd always go. But it took them a while to warm up. If they didn't know someone, it was hard to get them to take a chance and go out and actually see them. So, yeah, I think that's probably still the case. I mean, Adelaide, people, like you're talking about how big the scene was, and it was absolutely massive. We used to have bands tour from Melbourne and Sydney and could not believe that they could come to Adelaide and play in front of like a minimum 250 people up to 500 people, and we'd go, yeah, this is what happens.
And they play three or four. I remember bands used to come over and they play 3 or 4 nights in Adelaide.
Yeah.
You know, now if a band comes over, they'll do one if they come over.
Yeah.
But yeah, really big bands would come and do 3 or 4 nights in Adelaide. You
I've
know, at
noticed
the
that on a
TIFF
lot
or
of
something.
old flyers, which
Yeah.
that certainly didn't. We didn't like in.
Because that was the
My
promotion.
era, we didn't
That's
do
how
that.
you
Multiple
promote.
shows at the same venue in a row. I was seeing there'd be like the Freaks on a Thursday and a Friday and a Saturday. It's like what with different supports every time. So it was a different show. Like that's something that probably had faded out by the time even when we were coming through. We'd definitely have bands from interstate and do plenty of touring and stuff. But you know, you do one show in Melbourne, you do one show in Adelaide. Whereas back in the day, it looked like it was you get to see a band
come
4
over and
times.
Do a weekend.
Spend the weekend
Yeah,
here,
it's
Yeah.
awesome.
and they do Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Now there's so many other alternatives. You know, I suppose the kids are into other things. You know, like there's so much
Yeah.
EDM stuff. There's so much club stuff. There's so much pub stuff, and I think over the last probably couple of years, there's been a bit of a resurgence into the rock sort of like guitar-based bands.
Yeah.
You know, the obvious names like Amels and Chats and all those crew who've done that and driven that a bit. But there's so many LA bands who are doing that as well, and it really has kick-started again. So we see a bit more, we see a lot more, but once again, still limited by the venues. The Crank are getting parked into the Ed Castle was sort of tripped things up a little bit, but the Ed's really going really well. So you know, there's new places to go and new bands to see. You just got to get out there and go for a look. You know.
Yeah, and I think also too it becomes it depends too on sometimes on the location of the pubs.
Yeah.
Like when when we were playing and it was all down at that way,
Down
Glenelg
south.
and
Yeah.
down from Glenelg down south.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many of those people are willing to travel now into the city or out towards
heard
Port
that.
Adelaide,
Yep.
where a lot of the gigs are.
Which isn't that far,
Yeah.
but it's far enough to make it too
just
far.
to go, oh no, not tonight, sort of thing.
too many other alternatives
Yeah,
you can do.
yeah,
The internet, staying home, and
It's
just
expensive.
getting people out.
And people just can't drive. Obviously, you can't drive. You know, obviously for obvious reasons if you're drinking. But you know, it's still hard to get around. Like and you know, there used to be, I suppose, you catch the train from down south. You know.
Yeah.
But Ubers and taxis is just you can imagine the cost is very high.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
We
hard to get
definitely
around.
saw like I saw that creeping in. There was I don't know if you heard of a band called Sandcrack. No. They're an old punk band from down south. Amazing. One of my best mates, Elsie's, and he's in our place in Thrashboard. Him and his brother in the band. But you'd go play a show down south with Sandcrack at the footy club or Ranella Youth Centre or something like that, and the place would go absolutely crazy. No one knew them in the city though.
No.
Yeah.
And they never played shows. Like we'd try and get them. We'd get them. Like Sandcrack started playing with Stolen Youth a bit because we were like, guys, you've got to fucking come to the city. They're awesome, epic band. But they were just like, oh, go down south.
Yeah.
And the south kids wouldn't come in. Like, we were like,
that's right.
you're, not only are you going to people will be able to see you in town, you're going to bring that whole scene into the town. But they're just like, no. Don't want to. Played for a handful of shows in the city and then just stayed down south.
Wow.
that happened to us too. And as our years went, we went from a city band to a coastal band, and the people from the city basically,
Yeah.
not going down there.
Yeah.
Mid-coast kids.
Yeah. The Holdy was the furthest anyone could get out of the city, you know, and it was a tram or whatever, but it was a good venue and it wasn't too far away and it was near the beach, you know, so the Holdy worked well, but any further south on that and it was a real struggle, yeah. We'd play down like Colonnades or somewhere like that, and it was like nothing. Yeah, we played Colonnades. Yeah, it's a different feel for that venue now. We lived.
That's
It was
awesome.
a different scene down there now, but like it was hard to get people moving. And Adelaide's not that far, but let's say our transport system's not that easy after midnight, for example. Yeah.
So you guys would play summer, winter, the whole year. When you're at your peak,
Yep.
you a couple of gigs a week, or no? You're saying you're spaced it
Yeah.
out.
Maybe
No,
not.
we spaced them out,
Yeah.
and we would have our venues that we would like to play at, and we'd probably stick to them, and just I mean, the Holdy became sort of like home ground, but even there we wouldn't play like anything more than once a month.
Yeah.
Try and spread it out a bit.
And have you got your day jobs going on while this is happening, or you're trying to make money out of music? That was the goal, or that was
Everyone had a job.
Yeah.
Everyone had a job.
Had to pay for strings. My boss didn't like me telling him that, but that's okay.
what were your day jobs when you're doing that?
I was a tech, just fixing, technology, fixing, office type gear, I suppose, and then got it, just, working in that environment. So, best thing about that, I got a company car. and so I was driving around in a company car with a band gear in the back, for the gigs and that. It was great. It was a big bonus. But like having to drag Jacob back into the car by his dreads occasionally. Don't yell at the other cars. Well, there's a brand on the side of the car, get me in trouble. But it was just, it was a bonus having a job where, I had to drive everywhere. But I got a car, and then that became bonus as a wagon. So drums and bass gear just got dragged around as well, So that helped. But we were all working the whole way through, pretty much, mostly. Maybe occasionally the member might not be working in between, but yeah.
And what are the rest of you guys? What are your day jobs while you're?
Well, when I was in the mice, when I started in the mice, I used to work at South Australian Railways, and. But I had to quit because we just started touring so much interstate, and then we did a couple of overseas tours. So we were away for 8 weeks or something. It was just too hard to keep a job down. So there was a while there when I didn't do any sort of work. But yeah.
Well, you're a musician, so
apart from that, of course, which paid handsomely, of course.
Yes.
But I had a few odd jobs after that, and then I finished up managing Big Star Records on 160 McGill Road, Norwood. But that's
Big Star used to be in Rundle Street.
Yeah, there were 6 Big Star shops at one point.
Marion was the one that I went to.
Marion and Rundle Street, and then I knew McGill, but I didn't know the other one.
Exactly. Jim's Records.
That's right.
Well, that's what I found. A lot of bands, I'd just go into Big Star, and I'd spend 2 hours, and I'd just flick through CDs, and I'd just.
And I went to the CD player there. You could listen to them.
I just think you go to Big
pick up your
Star, and you've got Geoff
tickets
behind the counter who can let you know everything about the Adelaide scene and bands and stuff. So
I used to do odd jobs. I don't know. I was working in restaurants and stuff like that back in those days. I don't think there was ever a time where we thought we'd actually make a living out of music. Yeah. So it was kind of just a hobby that some people did really well, some people didn't. We all played in plenty of bands that went nowhere. But it was not really about that. It's about the journey. It's not the destination. To be.
Confucius over here just walked in. Shit.
Someone likes some incense,
it's like I've opened up an Instagram meme.
Here's the bonsai. The bonsai.
We'll try and frame that.
It's too much cheese.
He's centered himself. He's found his.
That's right.
And I've always worked in print and digital mailing, which. To be honest, I've been at the place I've been at now for 14 years, and it always was good for me because I was able to have Mondays and Fridays off because, again, my other bands were touring a lot, so it was always good for that. But in terms of earning money, that's the thing. I mean, when your band's sort of, semi-big or, you're getting good shows and people buying your CDs and stuff, like if you release a new album, in our case anyway, we'd release a new album, and then you'd have, a few weeks, a month of like, oh shit, there's some money coming in. This is pretty crazy. But then, depending on how big your band is, it gets to the point where everyone who's going to buy your record has bought the record, and then there's
and that's it.
Yeah. Zero. But in terms of shows and stuff, like the thing that my bands that I've been in they've been self-sufficient. Like I never had to put money in for a flight for a tour or anything like that because they would cover it. But at the end of the day, you're not walking away with any money in your pocket, but you get to go to Melbourne and Sydney for free. And there's a rider, you don't have to buy beers and all that sort of stuff. So it's sort of you earn the ability to be able to go over and have fun. And
covered.
Exactly, exactly. But certainly don't walk away with any money.
And everyone's been just like when you start playing, everyone's been in bands where it costs you money to play. You pay for the practice room, your petrol, your drinks at the gig.
It's not like you can afford to buy a new Sigma or Camry or something like that.
Sigma.
How did you know I had a Sigma?
But it's a paid for party, though. You're right. As long as it pays for itself.
Exactly.
You're not doing it for the money, really.
No.
Your day job?
I used to be a greenkeeper in a lawn bowling club. and that was my day job. And then I went back to uni, and now I'm a school teacher.
I think I remember meeting you down there at Brighton. You're going sideways on
That's it,
the
on the
roller
roller,
machine.
yes. Yeah.
I was always that always looked like fun.
Mine, it's not. It is for about 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
And then when you've got to do it 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hungover
Yeah.
after a gig
Yeah.
the night before.
That was one good thing about the job is you could do it hungover. You weren't going to really hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Well, unless you put your fingers in the cutters. You know. But yeah, I did that. Yeah.
That's cool. And you guys are still in those
Yep.
day jobs there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what do the students think of teacher Frank up there? Do they? When did they click? Because I suppose there was a long time when they wouldn't have seen you, but you didn't perform.
Yeah,
for a long
when
time.
I first started at the school I'm at, a lot of the parents sort of picked up because it's in the south. It's down at Ranella, and a lot of them used to come to gigs, and so we got just talking about it. And now a lot of our stuff's out there on YouTube, and so the kids can watch it and come in and go, oh, you swear a bit, Mr. P.
Is that what they call you?
Do
Is that
as
what
I say,
the
not as I
kids?
do. Yeah.
Is that what the kids call you?
Mr. P.
Mr. P.
What age kids
Or
are you
Captain
teaching?
Awesome. If any of the kids are watching this, they'll laugh at that.
I don't think anyone watches this. It's just us, you know.
Yeah.
So, when the band, you've had some breaks.
Yep.
What was the cause of some of those breaks?
I suppose people.
Jail time.
Good answer.
Well, like members might
Indifference.
change, or people to go do different things, or like for example, Scotty moved to Perth. Like you know, Scott Cavallan, who's a guitarist, he moved to Perth, and that was it. He wasn't coming back. Phil Curran left earlier on. Frank would go to America.
Yeah, I went
quite
overseas 3 times to have a holiday.
often. Yeah, he's overseas 3 times, and stay in the States for a while, catch up with friends over there. And that's generally the breaks, you know, it would just be variations in everyone's life changing, and you just come back to it when everybody can get back together again, and we'd gather new gangs, new members to make it happen, you know.
Thanks, mate.
So it was never, you never parted on bad terms. No one's ever parted on bad terms.
Yes.
Hey, look, say or don't say. Like, we're not here to get anyone in trouble.
Not yet.
There was one time where a band member leaving wasn't on great terms,
Oh, yeah.
but that's all sorted now. That's all good. And maybe even a second one, but yeah, we tried not to. Generally, people left because they wanted to, or they had to.
Their life was taking over.
Yeah,
And
like
it's
Phil, our original drummer, he left because he was a geologist and he was living out north. You know, up nowhere.
He was fly out, not fly in so much. You know, mostly in Moomba.
Yeah, Phil left. Phil left because he just really wasn't interested in it anymore. And Geoff, who replaced Phil, he eventually left because he was getting more into electronic stuff, sort of electronic pop sort of stuff, and yeah, that was cool. Then Jacob left, due to a disagreement, I guess. And then when Geoff left, we got Scotty Cavallan, and he left because he went to live in Perth. Yeah, he went to live in Fremantle, owned a pub. So, and then we got Alex in, and I think that pretty much covers everyone.
most
And then Tox. So it might be seen differently, but I'll try and the way I see it is Tox injured himself really badly. He lives over at York's, and said, you know, that he didn't want to drive over for rehearsals, and I wanted to. I'm a bit of a nut. Well, you can't say that word anymore, can we?
No.
I'm a bit full on
words
about
out there, you know.
rehearsals and doing it properly.
You're in a punk band. You can say what you want.
Yeah, but I know, and I sort of knew that Tox wouldn't want to drive to Adelaide to practice very much, and we had one rehearsal just before COVID broke, and I mean he was recovering from his accident where he basically smashed his ankle to bits and nearly lost his foot, and he had a bit of trouble that day. But I know that he didn't really want to drive over, and I don't know, he might think that I deliberately got the band back together without him, but I would have loved to have had Tox in the band.
Yeah.
Loved it because it was great. And it was only when, rather than trying to argue the point out and trying to force someone to do something, and you'd never force Tox to do anything, that was when I said, okay, I'll search.
Nibbles.
And that's how I see it anyway.
How did you get the band back together?
It's easy.
When was your previous because you did a get together last year? Was that the
23
23
was the first one.
23.
Then 24, we did a second
Where
one. because
were
the
those?
first- They were at the
They're the
Gov.
Gov shows.
the Gov? Yep. Yep.
And then last year we got asked to do the Nice Day at the Club festival.
Yep. And when
And
did you last play before those? Like what
That
was the break?
they were October of the years before, the 2 years before, October 23 and October 24.
And when did you when was your last gig before that
In
one?
2006 or something like that, or 7.
Holdy
15 years
show?
before.
Yeah, no, it was Fowlers.
Fowlers. That was the one.
Fowlers,
That was the one that I
So
wanted to go to.
we did a Enigma bar, and that one sold out too quickly, and people, so then we thought, we should maybe do another one, and so we did that, and then people used to always sort of say, you're going to get back together, going to do another one, and I was never going to do it, so it didn't matter who asked me, I just wasn't interested, and then eventually. Couple of people in my life sort of said, you seem to be talking about your band a bit more, and you seem to be more open to your own music, and because I would never play it at home, I was just done, and I went, I am, and so then I sort of reached out to Rob, and sort of we sort of went from there, and see if Alex was interested, and I had a chat to actually the guy Jacob who left the band on Not Great, but came on circumstances, but came over to Adelaide, and I had a chat to him, and I thought, if anyone's going to tell me it's a bullshit idea, he will, because he's straight up. And so I sat down, we were having a beer, and I said, so I'm thinking about, but I don't want it to be like a Where's the Pope cover band. And so he said, who have you got in mind? And I said, well, Rob's on board, Alex is on board. So that's 3 out of the last 4. And he said, well, that's Where's the Pope.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not you and 4 other guys who've never played the band.
Yeah.
So when he said that, I went, okay, let's do it. Yeah, because I didn't want to go up there. I didn't want people to think it was just going through the motions, cover band, here you go, we might get some people in and, charge you money to come and see us. Want to do it properly. So,
And you don't know up until the point you make that decision. You go, we're going to do it. You go, you're probably still nervous, going, fuck, is anyone still going to come?
Oh,
Are they
absolutely.
interested?
Well, originally for that first show, I remember when you first pitched it to me, it was going to be at the Arca Bar. But
Great venue.
I know I reckon I was getting that mixed up with the Gov all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Because I
think
remember
you guys are
I think somebody said that.
They've got a good band room upstairs.
They do have a good band room.
Really good band room. Yeah, I saw Midnight Oil up
Yeah,
there.
Midnight Oil played
Back in the
that.
70s.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's just a good. I
1,000
saw
people.
bloody Dr. Feelgood, The Cure
Yeah,
there the
yeah.
first time.
Really?
They
old days
toured
was a big
Australia.
venue,
They
yeah.
played.
But anyway,
Arca.
sorry, Gary, we've...
Yeah,
No, as I was saying, because I was super, I was super excited, one, that I get to see Where's the Pope from behind a drum kit, albeit, but, and I was sort of thinking, it's going to be huge, and I remember the archive thing, whether it was correct or not, but saying we got to do a bigger room than that. Like people will come, and I know, as you would be, you're obviously a little bit like, maybe I don't know, hopefully we get 300, hopefully.
Well, yeah, that's
But
that's
when
what
you
I
know,
kept
then you
saying.
don't
Yeah,
want to.
Don't go over.
Yeah.
Don't go overboard.
Don't get too
Well, I
high.
was going, no, it's going to be fucking sick. It's going to be heaps of people. Don't worry. But
And then it was.
and it sold out in 2
Yeah,
days.
the tickets started selling and
That was
selling and selling.
absolutely insane.
We were very happy and shocked when it sold out in a week. We were very grateful that people were keen to see it again. And both Frank and I had a sort of a site to watch to see sales, and we were just going, okay, oh my God, look. It was just quite weird to see how quickly it went, and we were just really humbled by it.
That's like
really?
15 years in between.
Yeah.
Or roughly
Yeah, it
something
was
like that.
about
That's a long
15
time.
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
But I suppose our generation, you don't forget what you did 15 years
No,
ago.
that's
That was a
right.
good
And-
time of your life.
I mean, and also because I run the Facebook and Instagram pages, the Facebook page had a lot of people already as followers. And they were always sort of talking about it, and I kept it going, not very regularly, but would post some stuff. And Yeah, I sort of knew that from that we'd probably be okay doing a gig, but I didn't expect it to be as okay as it was at all. Never expected that.
Yeah.
But then no pressure. we literally, like, the fact we felt we had to practice before we did it anyway was like confirmed, like, and we practiced like almost 20 times, like there's 20 different jams. Like Alex flying in numerous times. There was a lot of effort to make
Big
that
commitment
show.
till it worked.
When you got the people coming, you've got to make sure it works.
Yeah, and we played for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is
Everything.
insane.
How many songs?
28 or
28
30.
songs.
28 to 30 songs, yeah.
Does it come back like? You're in the middle and you go, oh shit, what's the what do we do? What am I doing?
Well, Rob always
Yeah,
talks about
yeah.
muscle memory.
My 10 little brains, remember? The 10 little brains. and the main brain doesn't remember at all, but it's amazing. The actual hands, the fingers and all that, it just comes back, and it is almost a muscle memory thing. The songs trigger it, and you just play.
Yeah.
It's so very lucky that way.
Yeah.
But that's different to actually being able to do it 15 years later. And that's why we had to practice a lot. When Frank says, we couldn't come and jam a lot, that was unfortunate. But we knew we had to
Kind of
put
build
them
up your
in.
fitness.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Match fit.
I used to finish a rehearsal and I'd have a sinus infection because my throat just wasn't used to it, and I was just wrecked.
Yeah.
And it was just, you had to, because it's a muscle, so I had to train
lot of
that
energy,
muscle.
yeah.
6 months it took to build all that back up.
Yeah.
And you can't just, we're just going to do the quieter version. We're just going to do this song this time.
No, those practices were long, proper, Now, by the end of it, when we're jamming the 28-song set, and it was what we would do at rehearsal, jam the whole thing through, that's...
It's a lot of time.
It takes a long time. Yeah, it's different for me. I didn't
a bit of
A set
cardio.
list that was 3
It
pages
was 3
long.
pages fucking long, yeah.
We started off like doing like a third of it at a time, and then we'd build up to the whole lot, and then was times we did the whole lot, and we did more. And it just, you had to stretch yourself. You make sure when you walked on, it was going to happen.
But one of the fun things about doing a set that long, because obviously for me it wasn't muscle memory. I was learning the songs. Initially when I got asked, Frank gave me met him at the pub and we had a beer just to see if we get along. And then he gave me a CD, and it was just the CD of 28, a burnt CD of 28 Where's the Pope songs, of which 18 of them I'd never heard before, basically. But that was the cool thing about learning, because I had just this one CD and I just listened to it at work. Luckily, I've got a job where I could listen to music all day in the background, and I just listened to it every single day for months and months and months and months on end. And then so when I'd always go straight to rehearsal from work, and I'd get there and the guys would go, "Oh, you're doing all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been fucking listening to it the last 8 hours just before I got here. Like, I hope I'm doing all right, because that's the only thing I'm listening to, right? I'm living and breathing. Where's the Pope?"
Dave walks into the practice room and literally played the set.
Yeah.
And we're going, no questions, no like, how does this go?
Yeah.
We sat down and went, oh my God, like literally just played it, and we're going,
Gun.
wow.
Yeah, it was
Absolute
great.
weapon.
I didn't even have to break out the seriously.
Too often.
Mate, come on.
There's always a few looks.
It was great, yeah. But I've always been of the opinion that once people started to really come and watch us play, that you didn't do it half-heartedly, you did it properly. So we even had like an unspoken that we were never going to go on stage. This is probably from about early 90s onwards, that if we're going to we loved a beer, obviously. We'd get hammered, but not before we played. No one went on there too drunk to play.
According to you guys.
Well, if we made a mistake, it was a mistake, but it wasn't because we were,
You still take it.
too drunk.
You're
to
enjoying
actually know
yourself.
what we're
Still
doing.
make
Mistakes were
mistakes.
made
It's not
because
sloppy.
it was at
Yeah.
the physical.
No.
It was the physical limit of our playing. We were playing as hard and as fast as we possibly could, and we made a mistake because we physically just stumbled, and just kept on going and jumped back in. Not because we were too pissed.
Fingers have cramped up.
And we just but you pile on through. You keep going.
And we've always been a little bit loose,
Yeah.
a little bit, but
In a good way.
we managed to work out how to control that looseness. Yeah. Like people who don't know the band that I meet now in my later years, and if you try and describe it, and they go, "Oh, punk band," and go, "Yeah, but we can play." And that's the thing that people don't understand about sometimes who don't listen to the music is how
You're still
good
tight.
the people who play it can play, and it's not easy. I remember when I gave the songs to Geoff, and I thought, oh, he'll learn these in about 5 minutes, and he'll go, "This is shit easy." And he came in and went, "This is quite complicated."
Well, I only knew about, I don't know, 7 or 8 of them
Yeah.
to
Yep.
sing along with.
Yeah.
And the rest, and even then, I'd never tried to play them. So yeah, it was a bit of a mental stretch, but I loved learning them. You know,
Yeah.
I would learn 5 or 6 each
To
time
just go
and
home,
to practice.
and that's today.
Well, listening to them in the car,
Yeah.
listening to them at home.
You get sort of 6 down in a jam,
Yeah.
and then the next weekend it's going to be 12 because you got those 6,
Yeah.
and then the next 6, and the next week it's
Yeah.
18.
Yeah.
So all of
Yeah.
a sudden it just
Yeah.
keeps ballooning until you get to
28.
28.
And did it get to 28 because you couldn't find which ones to cut? Was that the problem? 'Cause you-
No, I always planned the set around us probably doing an hour and a half. It was going to be a reunion. We were going to do it was going to be our show.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Here's a lot of our songs. And because we had 4 CDs or 4 albums, I wanted to do 4 to half a dozen at least off each one. So we went all the way back to the very first one and then all the way up to the new one. So there would be people there who may have jumped off early and they can hear those songs, and then, just wanted to play a whole broad range of Where's the Pope all the way through.
your last songs, like, do you start with that in mind? Like, what are we going to play right there? What's the encore? What's the second encore? Does that come into your head?
A bit. The last songs will always be either Sunday Afternoon Barbies or We Want Your Beer.
Yeah.
Just because, we know that they're people's favourites. So, and they're good fun to play, and they're good, good fun songs. So we'll chuck them in at the end. But the last show we did at the Gov, we played about 7 covers as an encore.
Yeah.
Of,
That was fun.
Of songs we've never played before, but bands that we grew up with, that Rob and I grew up with, that influenced
That
Where's
takes
the
the
Pope.
pressure off, and
Oh, that was
sounds like a big
I stuffed it up. Yeah, I stuffed up
The songs we
badly.
never played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you've got your encore, you've played your set,
Yeah.
crowd's happy. No, we're gonna give more. They're gonna shut the venue down. No, we're playing another one. We're gonna do this now. We're having
the
fun.
Gov were great about it.
Yeah.
They were on board from the minute I called them and just said, "Yeah, we know who you are. When do you want to do it?"
Yeah.
They were
Yeah,
great.
cool.
So yeah.
But to complicate it, Frank came with the idea of bringing in friends that we knew
yeah.
who also were influenced by those songs. And we had appearances like Greg and John came on to
yeah.
play. So we had other people coming on to play, which added another level of complexity to it. But it just made it, once again, back into the old party.
Yeah.
It was the old party days.
Yeah.
It was just made
Yeah.
it more, here's more people, here's more fun,
So-
here's some covers we love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
different
because
too,
we
yeah.
all grew up with John Scott, and so I said to John, I thought, I'll just see, because we'd always talked about playing together, and
Yeah.
Robert jammed with him, and when I called him, and I've got this idea, and he said, "What songs?" And I told him, "Yeah, I'm in." Instantly, it was great, and he was practicing at home, and it was brilliant to have John on board, and then Greg from Price of Silence, because. I mean, sometimes I look at gigs and go, I'll get bands on that I want to see, because then it's like getting into a gig for free
Yeah.
with bands I love. It's great. And so Price of Silence were always a band I loved and always would get along to see them as often as possible. And Greg, the singer, because I know Geoff knew the song, and get Greg on board, and he's done a lot for the Adelaide scene as well. So it was good to see him up there.
Well, that was, I think, on that night, that because John came along to a couple of jams, so he'd played with us. So we said to Geoff, like, is Greg going to come sing this, sing Minor Threat? This one? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. He doesn't need to. So we were all watching him come on stage for the very first time to play that song with him in front of the sold out Gov for the very first time. That was the only time we've ever played it with him, and he went mental, and it was absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
So like that's an awesome. That was my favorite moment of the night, because I'm sitting there as a fanboy going, "Holy shit, he's killing it! This is sick. We've never done this before."
Yeah.
And he was just going nuts. Like,
And we didn't. He came on and he said, and because before the gig, and he said, "Oh, what, do you want to sing it?" And I said, "No, mate, you're singing. I'll do the choruses. You're singing everything." And he just came on and bang, away he went.
it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
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 I'm sure a lot of people at the gig might not have known who he was because, but
Yeah.
that was great. It was for us.
Yeah, that's right.
The encore was for us.
Absolutely.
It was our fun moment. Yeah.
That's
That
pretty
was-
cool.
Yeah.
How did the songwriting process work for you guys? Like, is that how does that? Yeah, how do you write a song?
I write all the lyrics. I would quite often have a rhythm in my head and then just work with guitarist and Rob about how it sounds. If I had a specific riff in mind, I can't play guitar, but I can hum in tune. And so I could generally, like
You don't
Alex
do that
or
in the gigs, though.
Scott-
Not
Well, I'm thinking about it. And
could be a
and-
touch. You know?
And so even like Tox on drums would go, no, that's a C, or that's that's this, and then we'd have something to work on, or they'd have something to work on, and so we did it that way.
And it gets its life. It's good. Once that's there, once that structure or that core idea is there, like when you're jamming it out, it just grows from there.
Yeah.
And everybody's, like adds their little bits or adds their little feels to it. And then you sit back into the drums, make it work, and we just sit back on top of that. And it grows, it's sort of very organic sort of concept,
And we had a little bit of a Where's the Pope cheat as well, where if there was something that was, what are we going to put in there? Let's play that bit backwards. So you know how it goes that way. Well, let's do it this way.
I've spoken to them at length about some of the Where's the Pope things that happen in some of the songwriting processes. I said, why is this a 6-bar verse?
Yeah.
It should be 8. Why isn't it 8?
Because we screwed it up in recording.
Fucking play it. Okay. So, Frank, all right, Frank, no worries.
And part of that is generally the really old stuff with Phil Rady when he was on drums, because Phil came from a band called the Acid Drops in the 20s. Acid Drops, and they were jazzy punk, so nothing was. Not a lot of it was regular 4/4.
Yeah.
So his influence was offbeats and things, and he could play fast as hell. But that's why some of them, instead of being 8, a 6.
Yeah, you got a 4 and an 8.
An 11, isn't there?
There's an 11.
Yeah, there's an 11.
So you guys, did you learn music from teachers or did you do it organically? How did that go? Go around the room.
I was like in high school, and a guy got his friend, a guitarist I first played with, a Scottish guy came over from his parents, and I couldn't understand a word he said. And he just literally, all I could understand his band names, because his Scottish accent was so thick. And all I could understand was the Damned and the Sex Pistols and things like that. And he just said, "You'll learn bass." And he was a guitarist. He already had a recording contract in Scotland, and his parents moved him to Australia, so he lost that. But we just made a punk band. And then he taught me Smash It Up by the Damned and the Babylon's Burning by the Ruts. And that's how I learned bass. And then I would just listen to songs and listen to the music and play along and got an ear out of that. Tried to do a couple of lessons and realised it was just a waste of time for me, and just kept listening to songs I loved and kept learning songs I loved. And that's how I learned.
Which I think is how most people who play in punk bands
Yep.
learn to play. I'd never had a lesson in my life, you could probably tell. But, you play along with your favourite records. I learned how to play the guitar playing along to the Ramones' first album, just non-stop. Would play it 20 times and just try to learn how to play the songs. And one day suddenly I could play bar chords. It didn't hurt. And I thought, shit, I can play in a band now. I know 3 chords. That's all you need. But
There was none of that, like, when we were learning those covers and I found all those YouTube videos and you can go, oh, okay, it's there.
There you
Well,
go.
that wasn't
None of
around
that
back then.
No, back then.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I studied guitar at the Conservative Music.
Conservatorium.
Classical violinist.
Never. Same story.
Conservative.
I had more drum tuition.
Yeah.
I had drum lessons back in the day, but never had a guitar lesson. And just picked it up. I don't know. It's just easy. Once you
it
get
out,
into it, you can pick it up.
If you
just
love it, you
learn-
enjoy it.
Yeah,
I'm going to get
yeah,
this. I'm going to get this.
I think the main thing with guitar, sorry Rob, but the main thing with guitar is you've got to be determined to do it. Like, because playing bar chords, it hurts for a long time, and then suddenly one day it doesn't hurt, and a lot of people give up before that. So I think you've got to be pretty determined, and just have a goal in mind that I'm going to learn this thing if it kills me. Probably the same for drums and bass. I don't know, but
Definitely.
definitely with guitar.
I always used to say to people I ask, like, find a song you want to learn, find a song you love, because you're not going to practice some rubbish that someone tries to make you practice. But you find one song you want to play, and you'll practice that 100 times a day.
Yeah, so I growing up, I was always saying to Mum and Dad, I want to play drums, and then they made a deal with me that I could start learning drums at Blackwood Music School, which is a small little music, like a 3-room little music school with some teachers there. I could do that only if I learnt piano for 2 years, because they said you should be able to read music, and it's good for your ear and that sort of stuff. And at the time, I fucking hated them for it. And but I did it, and I got through the 2 years of piano, and then ditched it and took up the drums. And I had about 3 or 4 years of lessons with a guy called Craig Rodder.
Oh, Craig.
Do you know him?
Great drummer.
Nice.
Great drummer.
Holy
And,
are you serious?
He used to be in Screaming Believers.
Screaming Believers.
Yeah,
I used to go see them at the
Holy
Union when I was
full circle.
17. He was
And when the
great.
Mice started,
Yeah.
they didn't have a drummer, and Craig said, "I'll drum for you until you get a full-time drummer."
What?
He's on. Yeah, he played
He
with
taught
us.
me
He
drums,
is a
bro.
great drummer.
Fantastic
He's an awesome drummer. Yeah. I was with him for about 3 or 4 years until, I just started learning just as you start with regular stuff, but then as I got into punk, I mean, I think it might sound like a new song for you guys, but I heard the song Basket Case, or the film clip Basket Case by Green Day, which has shitloads of fills in it, and straight away that was my favourite song, and I took it to Craig, who apparently these guys know very well, which this is the first time we've spoken about that. And I said, I want to be able to play Basket Case. And he was like, holy shit, all right. Because it's just, it's pretty mental. And we spent about 6 or 7 weeks just getting that down. And then I was just punk drum ever since, basically.
Yeah, cool.
And that's crazy.
Amazing, isn't it?
Adelaide.
Yeah.
Shows you Adelaide.
And Frank, you can't play music.
But I studied at Juilliard.
Rude scholar.
When I was really young, I started to learn to play the guitar, and gave it up for exactly the reason. I was about 11 and gave it up because it hurt, and couldn't be bothered. Then basically, I just listened to music. Just listened to it all the time. And then our original drummer, Phil, or Gig, he was the one who actually helped coach me when the band got going on how to get my timing right in the songs. He would stop and he'd go, no, you're too fast in this bit and you're not follow me. And so that was great. And then I learned I learned my range, and that's why we play in E flat, and that helps my range. It helps limit where I can go in my vocals inside. But you just, as you keep doing it, you learn from experience, and you get better at it. You do. It's like guitar. My throat used to hurt, doesn't hurt, and you learn how to add different things in at different times. When COVID came around, I started to learn the piano. I still don't know how to play the piano. I know basic chords, and I know because our old drummer Tox, he's a classically trained pianist, and he could play all our songs on the piano.
Yeah.
And you'd go over his place at York's, and he'd go, I know that song. He goes, yeah, that's going nowhere. And so I sort of figured guitar and piano are really important for writing songs, and I thought I'll learn piano. Still like getting on there and just basic, but I can't play without looking at stuff, and I'm still reading music. But
I learnt music, and my teacher, I learnt Barbra Streisand People. But when I was young, I've got no relationship to this horrible song. But here, learn it, and Star Trek, the theme from Star Trek, and I'd never even watched the theme from Star Trek. But singing. To get up and sing, be the lead singer, the confidence. How did you figure out that you could do that?
Well, it's not me. It's a character. That's why. Like you know me as Frank, and a lot of people who go to As the Pope know me as Frankie P or Frank P. It's like a character, because me personally, I couldn't do it, so I have to sort of and. Teaching helps that a little bit. When you're teaching, you become a character in front of the class. So you've got to lose your inhibitions. You've got to be able to just put everything aside and just go up there and do that. Yeah.
How well? So okay, back to the first gigs, and the first time we're jamming in the shed, we're playing, you're jamming in a shed first.
We were, yeah.
And then you got the first party. Like, I don't know, how do you think that you can sing and people are going to want to hear you sing if you haven't been taught?
You don't. You don't. You just, but you're going to have a crack. It's just sort of, it's just having a crack. You sort of like what you're doing, and hopefully other people will. And do you know what? When you're in your early 20s and or 19 or whatever, you get to play with mates. You know your mates are going to support you.
Yeah.
You know, if it's really shit, they'll go, it's really shit, but they'll have a smile on their face. But if it's good and they really enjoy it, like they did at the first party, and wind up just going completely nuts and destroying the place, you go, oh, we might be onto something here.
So for you, maybe it wasn't really the audience, it was your mates, and you're just doing a good job with them, and whatever everyone else thinks of it is up to them.
Well, yeah, and it's, I think also, I mean, that's that side, but I think just Where's the Pope in general, I think what helped us was coming from a punk scene, and I'm not being disrespectful, and I'm not going to say but and mean I am going to be disrespectful. We didn't look like the perception of punks. We didn't wear leather and studs, and we all had jobs. We had to dress for jobs, and we were just like,
you're kind of respectable people.
Yeah. Well, not that punks
music.
weren't respectable
people.
But if people didn't know and you said you're in a punk band, they would have a picture in their head back then of mohawks and
it's like
people
skate
spitting
culture,
and
it's like that. Yeah.
And so that's part of the reason when we took the American side of it was that it was going away from that, and we were just dressing like regular people in the scenes we loved, the skate, surf, all that sort of stuff, and it wasn't threatening to go to see a band like you might say, oh, they're a punk band, and some people might go, oh, I don't know, it might be a bit hard for me, and they'd go along, and it's like, oh, well, I know him, I know her, I know them, and I see them down the beach or I see them at the skate park, and I'm involved, and it worked. It's sort of, I think that helped get us a broader range of people coming to the shows.
I remember we walked into a pub in Melbourne once when we played in Melbourne, and the girl at the bar went, "You guys don't look like a punk band." Like literally, like we walked because we're like, no, we're not. But it's more because that whole underground, even the heavier hardcore scene, wasn't a look as much as just just an attitude. And just a good attitude, and that's where you didn't need the haircuts or anything like that, and we were just being normal, doing what we're doing and playing what we wanted to play, and it was just funny to hear someone say it though. We walk in and go, and they just went, what Melbourne were expecting was obviously a little bit more, extravagant in the look,
and Melbourne was back then,
and it was, and that's nothing against anyone who's into that. It's more. That's just we were just being regular and playing and putting it down musically and lyrically, like what Frank would say. And that was the big difference for me and us, was that we had something to say, and it mattered a little bit more. Had something that had a message.
I like beer.
but in amongst all the fun stuff, in amongst all the fun stuff, there's me stuff that had meaning, and that you start to step away from just the standard sort of concept, of a punk band that just was being crazy and wild, and there was a message, so it's good.
That sparked a thought when you played down south last year, and it almost felt like you caught yourself in speaking to the crowd and some of the lyrics and some of the, I don't know, some of what you're trying to get across out there. Do you stop and think sometimes, how are people going to think about this today? Like what you sung 10 years ago, 15 years ago is different than what you can say today.
But a lot of it's, there's not a lot. We went through that, and there was only a couple of songs that probably wouldn't cut it in today's. But a lot of it's still relevant, which was really weird. Like, the song "Me and My Gun" is the biggest one where, that was written in. It was written probably about 1988, and but it talks about the US going into South America, and we got Venezuela, and it talks about trade sanctions and things like that, and that's happening, and and the ANZUS alliance, and now we've got AUKUS, and. Yeah, so it crosses over. I mean, that gig, I probably had the angry pants on a bit, that gig, I think. But because people, as much as it's, as much as it's fun to throw stuff, it hurts. But anyway, yeah, that was I don't think about it that much at the time. Later on afterwards, I went, I probably went a bit hard on a couple of things there, but they're things I believe in.
Yeah.
You know, I believe in, don't whinge about having a welcome to country. Fucking, that's shit, don't. You're not being welcomed into your country of Australia. You're being welcomed into the Indigenous culture. It's like inviting someone into your house.
Yeah.
Just stop, you know. And so I'll never apologise for that. And yeah.
And that comes out, that obviously came out in your lyrics and writing
Yep.
years ago.
Yeah.
Are you writing about any new stuff?
No.
Is there anything, does that strike your interest, or you're happy with?
Does with me.
Yep.
It does with me, but then that would mean doing it full time, and I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. But I've got some lyrics for new songs.
Oh, sure. You know, there's a bit of a spark in all of you guys. I've been thinking, thanks. Oh.
Well, I brought 20 new songs for the band, and they've all been rejected.
Keep going. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Bobby to 21.
They did that for Frank's first 20, didn't they?
But never say never, I suppose. Like for the last 10, 15 years when we weren't playing, when we didn't play, and people would like, you know, I'd still be going out, I was playing in other bands, I was still out all the time, and you're constantly getting asked, like, about where's people going to do a show. And my answer just became never say never, because that's what it is, you know, never say never, because, you know, we never know. And you could not confirm or deny, but you just say never, and I think the same with that, like, never say never, you know, you might get comfortable with something, you know.
Because you guys all kept performing. Frank, you stopped. Is that kind of, you stopped doing everything, but the rest of you guys, you kept playing. So that would have been hard for you and confusing if I made the right choice or you didn't.
No, it was easy.
It was easy, when the time came.
I mean, I stopped the band.
Yep.
And because we were playing a gig and I was on stage, and halfway through the gig I just went, I don't want to do this anymore. And so I just stopped.
Yeah?
Yeah, said...
Tell us about that.
I just did.
Yeah, give us, you know, that seems pretty shocking. You know, what was
we've been doing it a long time, and I remember the gig was fun, but for whatever reason I was just on stage and just thinking, I reckon I'm done now, and I reckon I might have
Didn't
even
feel like
said
your heart
that
was in it
night
anymore.
at whatever gig it was, probably at the Holdy, and just said, I don't think I want to do it anymore. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, but that was 24 years after we started, and
You're allowed to say,
we'd written a couple of new songs, and I think, all right, to be brutally honest, I think it was time for us to stop as well. There was a new breed of bands coming through. There was your, Day of Contempts and I Killed the Prom Queens and Stolen Years all starting, and it was their time. You know, they were playing the music for that time, and we weren't. I wanted to, but that wasn't us. We would still have a set.
was that an age difference? Or
Yeah, a little bit.
Timing.
Just time, And I remember thinking, I reckon we're done now. We've had a good run, and it was also important to leave with people going, oh yeah, I saw Where's the Pope and they were really good fun, rather than the last time I saw them they were shit.
Yeah, fizzled out.
Just fizzled out. I went to see them and there was 10 people, and no one, they didn't care, and I didn't want that to happen, and that worked a bit. I think that worked to help us with our reunions.
Yeah, for sure.
Because people, the last time they saw us, still saw us and enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So conversely, how good did it feel when you did go and play that gig again after all that
Yeah,
time?
it was awesome.
Incomparable.
Yeah.
Like, there's a shot at the end of the show, and a friend of ours, her 3 boys are in the front of the stage, and they're looking up at me and they're yelling to me saying, we're Tony's boys, as my partner, her friend's best friend, Tony, her sons, and someone magically got this shot, a photo of the stars. When I look on my face, when I just realise it's them, and the whole crowd's just finishing the whole crowd, and that look is just amazing. It's just summed up the whole night. Like 3 generations down, the new kids are on the block, like they're right there, loving it, and the whole crowd's just. The end of the show's just finished. It was a pretty magical moment. Like that night we didn't expect it. It sold out like that. we had no idea that people were going to be into it that much, and we had the time of our lives, and it was hard work playing 90 minutes for 28 songs, but we just, like, the energy was there to do it, and it was just, you can't really compare that to anything else, you know.
How do you guys feel?
Well, that's it. It was just such a long lead up. I mean, it was a year of jamming, basically.
Yeah, for one song, one show.
For one show. And so, I mean, the thing, I mean, obviously, I happen to think that as a drummer, you basically have the best view of any gig because you get to see the band and you get to see the crowd and the mosh, and you can concentrate on other things instead of looking at a guitar or something like that. And for me, I was just sitting back, just fanboying how epic a show this is. Like, there'd be hard times I have to remind myself, hey, fucking switch on, because you don't want to stuff up. Because I'd just drift off, going like, oh wow, there's people with bodies everywhere, and again, that was my first ever time seeing Where's the Pope. It was couldn't have done it better than being able to sit up on stage and do it. And so it was cool because I'm playing songs that I loved 20 years ago, and also the crowd was kind of cross-generational as well. There was all the old crew that had ones who snapped the tickets up straight away, and there was a bunch of my friends or maybe people who liked my band that were interested in what we were doing, and it was that whole sort of lead up to it. A lot of people that also maybe hadn't heard Where's the Pope came out and saw Where's the Pope. Like, it was, it was just an awesome night. And obviously, definitely walking off stage was definitely a big feeling of achievement. But also just stoked for these guys to have been able to pull off such a crazy show. And
yeah, it's great fun, wasn't it?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I had all school friends I hadn't seen for 20 years. They all came along just because it was just like a party. All the same people all these years later.
I think you could sort of work out how well it went because it was only meant to be a one-off show. And here we are, 3 years later. We've done, 2 others, heading up for a 4th one in a couple of weeks. That was just a great night. At the end, I remember at the end of the gig thinking, I really hope we play again.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a great night.
Yeah.
What about you, Frank? You'd have to be pretty chuffed to...
It was awesome. Yeah. It was absolutely awesome to get back up there and to just see the response and to have these guys, smashing it out like they did. And just, it was like Rob was saying too, it was just amazing. There were so many people there who had their kids with them. Mm. And that's older, younger kids coming over and going, this is so-and-so. And then going, this is the band I grew up with. Bringing their family in to come and see, to show us off to them. It was just awesome. Yeah. It was just great. Yeah.
So you guys have got a gig coming up.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Froth and Fury Fest. Geoff would be better to tell you about the beginnings of Froth and Fury because he's played a couple, I think.
Yeah, last band I was in called Cull, we did a couple of Froth and Furies, and it used to be down at Pirate Life Brewery. I think it just got too big for Pirate Life, so this is the first year it's at the showgrounds. It's a really, really good show, really well organised. People that run it are lovely. I just, as I said, the 2 times we played, couldn't speak highly enough of how good it was. And the people that go there are all in a good mood, and it's just great. But it's just getting bigger and bigger, and it's probably going to get bigger than the big day out the way it's heading. And
so they called you guys and said, "Hey, look, do you want to come and play?" And how did that eventuate? How did that come about?
Yeah, Jason called me, and I'd been given a little tip off that he might have been going to call, and we just had a chat and talked about what it involved and whether we would be available, and we were, and so readily said, yeah, sure, that sounds great, because I'd known how good it was and how well it was run, and it was good to be able to also support them in this venture into the showgrounds where it's
bigger risk for them.
It's a much bigger risk, to go to the showgrounds, but they're doing it really well.
So you guys were rehearsing since your last gig a year ago-ish. You thought, we're just going to get... Or, no, you'd stopped again. You did that show, stopped.
Yeah, we stopped.
Yep. And then you got the call for this one when?
I would say... it was mid to late last year, but well before it was announced. And so then because we'd had 3 years of gigs and practice, and we were cutting the set back all the time for less playing time. So the rehearsals didn't have to start straight away. We sort of started just before the end of the year, and ramp it up a bit in January, and away we go.
Yep.
And this is a shorter set.
It
this
is.
time round.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
16 songs.
Just playing really fast.
No, half an hour playing.
Half an hour. So you said before you had 90 minutes to fit your most favourite, popular ones you want to share with people. You found 90 minutes to do that. How do you cut that back to?
It's hard.
It's really hard.
It's really hard.
We're playing all our most unpopular songs.
Just to annoy the crowd. Just to annoy
We've
everyone.
actually decided we're going to do 30 minutes of Björk covers.
But no, we all put in, like Frank basically asked us, what are, 2 or 3 tracks that you 100% want to play, sort of thing, which probably may have been a few similarities in between them, probably.
And then I did what I wanted.
And then he wanted.
Then he cut those and then just
He said, thanks for that.
Perception of
It's the
involvement.
pretense.
It's just feeling
involved.
inclusive.
perception of democracy.
I suppose we had to cut it down for Nice Day to go to the club last year, so it was like we had experience with that. But like Frank and all of us, like that was so hard just doing that, and we had like 45 or something last year. There was
40,
then to do it, cut it down even further. It's harder. It's a different, I suppose, type of show. It's not like the club down south. It's pretty heavy metal sort of bass show. So that guides you a little bit, and I'm sure that would have helped Frank's decisions on what songs to choose.
okay.
But
Changed them a little bit for the crowd that'll be there. We were talking before, and at Nice Day to go to the club, we were probably the most extreme band, and for this gig, we're probably one of the least extreme bands because it is more metal and more bands that are really out there. But it's 30 to 40 bands and lots of big international bands, big Australian bands, and then some old faves that are still playing around, and it should be great fun.
it's still all our songs, still all favourites. So we're lucky we've got 90 minutes of favourites. We can pull 30 minutes of favourites out.
Well, and that's also that's the other good thing about putting in so much time and effort into it initially for those 2 Gov shows, because we've got 28 in the bank that we can pick from, and just sort of it does make it a little bit easier to be able to go, okay, we've got this half an
You've got
hour.
more than enough good ones, but it's like,
that's it.
there's 6 extras that I
Yeah,
really
so
want to
it makes it a
squeeze in.
strong 30 minutes or an hour.
Well, that's
anyway.
it,
And we're because you've got toughened up or hardened up by the 90-minute effort, you just can play harder and faster or more intense, and just you put more into it. Like, not that we don't put more into it, but you can just shoehorn more into that shorter set. Just personal effort, and that makes a difference. You really
I
enjoy
imagine
it.
you'd all be pumped. You go, this is
Oh,
coming
yeah.
up. We're looking forward to this.
Oh,
You'll
yeah.
be charging. Yeah.
Well, you saw the show at Nice Day, and you hit the stage running,
Yeah.
and away you go. Don't look back, just keep going. And give it everything.
So do you think there might be another one in a down the track? Like, you never say never, but you're playing this gig here. You stopped after the last one. No, we're fine. We went out on a good night, and then you get a phone call. You're looking forward to this next gig in the same way. No, we're rehearsing for this one gig, and that's our priority.
Yeah, at the moment rehearsing for the one gig. We may be going to Melbourne for a show. That's probably 80% sure at the moment. But beyond that, haven't thought of
Back
it.
to you. Back to
Play it
the
by ear,
back to
really.
the-
See what pops up.
Sort of thing. If a good opportunity comes along.
Yeah.
all into the one that's coming.
Or like we said before, maybe we might have a jam, and if there's any new stuff or ideas, and
That'd be
see what happens. Yeah.
When you guys were recording your albums, how did that go for you? What's involved in recording an album?
Yeah, I suppose drums and bass tend to go down first, and they're just basic beds, and then you just overdub what you can or what you need to. Guitars would go on top of that, but you're always playing it live to get it down, together first. But they'll pick the drums and the bass out of that mix most of the time. Then guitars will tend to be redone, and vocals are done after that. But it's always you want to play in the room together. You always want to play it live together to get that feel. but it was a long time ago, and it's not, I wouldn't call it the most comfortable experience, the studio. It's like going there. It's very different to live, playing live at a gig. You're there's a lot more pressure. You put a lot more pressure on yourself. You got to get it right. You're listening to every song, every note. You're listening to all these things and overanalyzing it. But as I said, it's a long time since we did a record. But like even doing records later in my time, that hasn't changed. I still find it very, not confronting, but very challenging to get that, because you really want to put the most you can down live and get it perfect. But perfect and a live feel and the best sound ever, it's a hard thing to do. It's not easy.
How many albums have you produced, and can people still find them now?
4. And yep, they're all available. Clarity Records. So Footy from Clarity came to me just after the first gig reunion and sort of said he was interested in re-releasing every one of our albums, and he went ahead with that plan and put in a whole pile of effort and a whole pile of work and money, and has done a great job. So yeah, they're all available. They're on sale. Yep.
Shout outs to people that have helped you along the way. Do you guys? We're working our way to the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
We're still a while away yet, but shout outs, thanks. Just to mention, are there people that you feel are important to mention? If you get a minute.
That's a hard.
Any success is completely due to my own
It's all me.
ability. It's all me. Mum and Dad.
Yeah, nobody's helping out to themselves. Yeah, they all suck.
But no, I mean, I'd certainly say previous bandmates, everything to get you playing in bands is it's a pretty brutal thing sometimes, and there's tension sometimes in bands, all that sort of stuff, and it's just like it's like a family at home as well. There's ups and downs, all that sort of stuff, and I think if you all the people that I've sort of played with in my bands coming through and stuff like that, they've all helped me to also be here as well. But I would be getting in trouble if I didn't mention that my partner Lauren I've been with for 20 years, who was watching me go away on tour a lot and is currently at home with the 3 kids. Yeah. So obviously you can't do it without their home support and be able to head out every week and spend a few hours smashing out music when there's especially at my stage. But so that's probably where I end it.
They do give up a lot. Your partners. You're the same. You're in production and that type of thing, and you do other things that aren't like based at home. And you do really thank them for all their support, because that they wouldn't be able to do it without them. You do have to run away and practice and hide in a jam room and hide in a studio regularly, and that really makes a big difference. But there's a lot of other friends, I said, other band members and associates who have helped with production and helped with that type of thing, like Jerry and Ock and those guys, and they've helped us in these last few shows. Jerry's with the sound and Ock on stage really helped a lot, like getting those Gov shows, working, that type of thing. So they were very much a good hand in making this all happen recently. Over the years, though, our partner's been there the whole way, 40 years. It's a long time.
Support.
Yeah. Well, I agree with what Rob and Dave have said it all, really. I mean, your partners, I wouldn't say cop a lot of shit, but they put in a huge amount of effort. And because sometimes being in a band, you can be pretty obsessed with it when you're younger. When you're older, I think you get a little bit less obsessed with it. But they take a lot of crap, really, And so I would say partners, we love them. They support us a lot. And, I'd really want to thank Frank and Rob and these guys for asking me to do it too. It's just been a blast. It's been an absolute blast. I've loved every second of it.
But you're right, though, being asked again, I remember we were playing a gig down with the Beaters down at Come In, Frank turns up. And then I was speak, what's going on here? Frank, just come and have a look, And it was it's good to be asked again to do it, because it's, as Frank said earlier, he didn't want to do a cover band or have other people do stuff. Yeah. But to still be asked again and still have the opportunity to do it again as a group, that's really, without that core group, it's just impossible to do it, and you got to rely on each other. It takes a lot of time out of life. You got to commit a lot of time to do it, and you might be at practice room once every week or every week or month or whatever, but it's all that time. You don't come to the jam room unprepared. It's just hours and hours of time beforehand, and we've all been able to rely on each other to do that.
And some of you have to get on an airplane to
Yeah.
get to
Exactly.
rehearsal.
Yeah,
Oh,
it flies.
That's all right. It's not that difficult. I've got it down to a fine art now.
Yeah.
But driving
It's
from
worth
Newcastle,
doing.
you drive from Newcastle to Sydney, fly to Adelaide, fly back to Sydney, and drive back to Newcastle.
And drive back to New.
to do a gig, do a jam, have a practice.
That's all right. It's
You love it.
oh yeah.
Clearly.
Where's Pope's
why
been
we do
the
it.
greatest opportunity that I've had in music. So it's why wouldn't you do it? It's so much fun, just practicing and rehearsing and getting back in that nostalgic vibe, and then you get to play this awesome show and people go, wow, still got it. So yeah, it's worthwhile doing. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
It's good.
Frank, any highlights or lowlights?
No. Look. Every person who's been in. Oh, hello. But every person who's been in Where's the Pope has. I've been really thankful for. Been really happy to have Rob all that time, because without that stability, it wouldn't have happened. But yeah, everyone who's been in Where's the Pope, I've enjoyed being in the band with. And I'm really thankful that, we've got these guys now that it's pretty easy with, to just do things, we get it done. I'm open with everyone that, I can be hard work in the band, but there's always got to be one in a band that sort of, thinks they're better than they might be sometimes, or tries to
Pushing things along.
just push things along.
Someone's got to make decisions.
It's gotta be someone
and because I'm not playing an instrument,
controlling
I
the
can
quality.
stand back and listen to everything. And like when John Scott came and had a rehearsal with us, and I won't use the word he said, but he said, "So what happens now? There's two of us in the band, two arseholes in the band." But that's not the word he used. I went, we'll share that. But yeah, and also people like yourself, like putting us onto your videos and your little doco stuff, and that really helped as well. So we're always thankful for people like yourself, and that helped us get out there to new people, different people. So that was always great, the Volatile Visions stuff. But yeah, and then like the boys are saying, and then without my partner Leanne, this wouldn't have happened, because it was her and our family that convinced me that you actually seem to enjoy talking about it now, whereas before you didn't talk about it, and now you are, and you're sort of upbeat about it. So why don't you consider it? Because without them, it wouldn't have happened. So yeah, and they have to put up with a lot. So you've got to admire that and feel grateful for it as well. So yeah. But,
What about, is there a, take your pick, like one of your best memories or one of your worst memories as a band? Does anyone want to throw that out there?
The only time I ever probably could think of anything that you wouldn't call it the worst is just, I guess, when you're in the middle of a song and you forget what's coming up next, which luckily hasn't happened too many times, but when it has happened, it's a pretty bad feeling. I can't really think of any other negative things, really.
You don't choke up, you don't freeze up, that's not it? No?
Nah.
No.
Well, I was
Things
saying
like
to Rob
bookings went
before,
wrong, or you...
I was saying to Rob before, like, we had practice today before coming here, and it sounded great. And I was saying to Rob, the muscle memory has kicked in, because there are 2 or 3 points during the practice where I just sort of zoned out a little bit,
brain fog.
but my hands went to the right spot on their own without me directing them.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's really good. And we're sort of locked in now. And that's always a really good feeling.
Yeah.
It's,
Just unconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
good.
used to, before a show, would be in the band room and just can't remember how any of the songs go. Wouldn't know how to play them. Don't know what key they're in, what they start in. The minute you go up on stage, you put your guitar on, I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to do it all. But it's the moment of panic when you're like, I've just fucking erased all my complete memory.
Yeah.
Funny things happen to you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
And
it.
it's good to be nervous before a gig, I reckon.
Oh, absolutely,
You know,
yeah.
Yeah.
I've played a million gigs and I still get really, really nervous, you know, especially when you're playing at the Gov in front of 1,000 people. But yeah, after a couple of minutes, it goes away, hopefully.
It's one thing you've learned over all these years is you learn to grab that nervousness, and it's like just tearing you apart at the moment. It's like, but you channel it and you put it into energy, just convert it into like just effort and energy, and just push it out. And that's the trick, you know. That's the magic sort of you know thing that I've discovered. Like that's how I survive it. You just got to just translate that nervous energy into action, and we're lucky we play an energetic band.
Yeah,
I can't
right.
see how you could go back and play in a really slow, laid-back band and have to somehow do the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
You know, there's not going to be an acoustic Where's the Bloke.
Unplugged.
Probably not. I like the idea. Maybe a like a Hammond organ.
Favourite gig that you guys have played and performed at when you've walked off thinking that's the best one we've ever done.
Don't know. I reckon probably not favourite gig, but the coolest one was the nice day to go to the club, because I had my son was on stage with all of us, and the two girls were there as well, and he was loving it. He loves some of the songs and he was singing along. Got some good footage of it. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've loved all three. I've only played 3 gigs at Where's the Pipe, same as Dave, and I've loved all of them. But I think the nice day to go to the club was my favourite.
Yeah.
But but now I think the first Gov gig was great. The second one was great. Yeah, I loved them all.
Yeah.
You know,
It's hard to pick, isn't it?
it is hard to pick.
There's a lot more to choose from, Rob.
The first, I have, but like that one coming back, the first Gov one, I loved Club. Like Club was great. It was just such a relief to do like a shorter set. But that first one coming back at the Gov from out of
It was a big
nowhere,
night.
15 years,
Yeah.
nowhere, and it was not expected. It was a complete surprise, and we thought that was our only one. And that was fine. It wasn't, but it's fine. But it was just like the feeling after that is just, like all our gigs we've done for all the years were great, magnificent. We did big shows at unis, big shows everywhere. But and two big outs. We played 2 big outs. We played the first big out, and we played what I call the last big day out, because it was the one when they stopped for a year, and they were great. But that Gov show, like, it's just nothing compares. It was just coming back and a complete surprise. Yeah, loved it.
Far into the table. Favourite? That's
There's apart from the last 3. If I had to go back and pick, I got 2. The first big day out in the cloisters at Adelaide Uni was amazing, absolutely amazing. We were lucky. We were up against Carter the Unstoppable Sex Machine, which meant that we weren't in competition with another band so we had a full cloisters, absolutely packed, and it was brilliant. And then a show we played in Melbourne. The last time we ever played there, we played at the Art House with Mind Snare, and it was the first time. Well, not the first time, but it was the most I've seen a crowd go off in interstate for us, and it was just insane. And we only had to play 20 minutes. It was brilliant, yeah. And it was. I'll always remember that show at the Art House, and thinking, yeah, this is really good, somewhere different, and they're really getting it. And it was just, it was awesome.
It was a hardcore show.
Yeah.
It was different to like a punk
Yeah.
show. That was one of the first shows I thought, this is different. Something's changed. And it was just that little extra intensity. It wasn't just laid back, beer punk. It was like intense.
And we didn't headline. We were second. We were before Mind Snare, and it was just great.
The Art House was fucking great too.
It was
That
good,
was
yeah.
every time I go to Melbourne, I go past it because it was a restaurant for a while. And so whenever we'd go there, it'd stay upstairs. I know. Did you ever stay in the band room up there?
No.
All the bands that ever wrote there, they wrote on the beds. So you're lying. They had like 4 bunk beds there, and you're lying in the beds, and you're seeing all these band names who all stayed there. You're like, fucking hell. There's obviously probably some pretty unspeakable shit that went on in that room. But the Art House in general, that's a massively missed venue. That was all. That was
We also got booked some sometimes too in shows we shouldn't have been booked for, but had no idea. You know, I can remember a couple of gigs. One in Melbourne, we played this great big place. I forget, it might have even been like Seaview Ballroom or something like that. There's 10 people.
Yeah.
The place holds thousands. It's like, what are we doing? And we played. That might have been with Lubricated Goat.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, why were we booked for this?
Wrong venue, wrong lineup.
Yeah. And
Wrong goat.
yeah, and so you know those things happen. You just have to roll with it. And, yeah. But there's been a lot of really good shows, but for me those ones probably stand out. The recent ones, and then the first big day out, and the one in Melbourne at the Art House. But you know, people watching, they'll have their own favourites.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they were great.
Oh, look, I'm a fan. I'm stoked that you guys have played again. I remember hassling Frank in the middle of that 15-year break. Come on, let's do something. I got a party plan. We can do something. No.
Yeah, and that was really. I used to feel bad because you know people. I know Keezer from the Clams called me a couple of times and you know it's go nah, I'm not interested, mate. And it's not because you know it's you or anything. It's just I don't want to do it.
No.
Yeah, and I think eventually, hopefully, people who were trying to book those shows understood that it was just it was
Right
done
timing.
at that time. It was done.
Wasn't right.
Yeah.
One last thing before we wrap it up. Sometimes people have a bad day. If each of you, if you're in a hole, you're having a bad day, how do you, if someone's listening, you might give them some words of inspiration. How do you help someone on a bad day? Well, what do you do? What do you think in your own mind when you're having that bad day? What do you do, and what could maybe someone else?
You just listen to them, I think. You know, like a lot of people having a bad day, they just need to get it out of their system to some extent. So I think just listening to someone, you don't even have to say anything, but just listen to them and be there for them.
And if you're on your own, get some music in your ears.
Yeah.
If you're on your own, find that favourite tune, find that favourite thing that tune from your past, your history, whenever that worked for you then, and just get into it, immerse yourself into some music. That helps me. Like that's at the end of the day, the pods go in. You know, you do whatever you're doing, and you just find something on, whether it's on your own stuff or on your phone or whatever, and just find that favourite track, and it just everything gets washed away. Helps.
Boys?
I would say some advice. I'll use my psychology degree.
Yeah, that's good.
Accept the things you cannot change. Give yourself some perspective. That's about it. There's a theory of circle of change. Accept the things
He's like
you
a
can't
walking self-help book, isn't he? It's just, he keeps coming out with this stuff. Yeah.
If you can't do anything about it, you know, just look after yourself. If you need a coping mechanism, go for it. Because nothing ever lasts forever. Everything's temporary.
Yeah.
That's
Sun
it.
comes up.
Yeah.
Sun comes up. That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
I find that people, I train lots of people at work, new people that's come to the business and all that sort of stuff, and you see them having a bad time just at work or anything like that. And I mean, I always just find that showing confidence in them, even if in your head you're going, oh, you should know this by now, or anything like that. It's like showing confidence in people in general and just being supportive of people, and also making them realise that this isn't the be all and end all of if whatever issue is that they're going through or whatever. It's a much bigger picture out there, and so that's something I always use at my workplace anyway, just to sort of be confident and supportive of people in general.
Take us out, Frank.
I think personally that when people get themselves into a hole or find themselves in a situation like that, to the best of your ability, you have to be able to understand that your first thought when you're in that hole isn't the one to run with. Take a breath. Things will get better. They always do. They do. They always do. And it might not look like they ever will, but they do. Things change and things improve. And you've just got to trust that. I think if you find yourself in that situation, it's too easy to go, first thought is, fuck, this is the end of the world. But it's not. It might seem like it, and at that time it might be really bad. Not saying that situations don't make people feel really bad and really shitty. And that's normal. But they will get better. They will get better if you just trust in that, in your own process and believe in yourself, and yeah, just go.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You guys can't hear the applause and the thing. You'll have to listen to the podcast.
I think I heard the pup fart.
Pick up. We're going to call this a wrap.
Awesome.
The guys from Where's the Pope, thank you boys
Thanks,
very
mate.
much.
Thank you.
It's been awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, mate.
Appreciate you coming in, and best of luck with everything you keep doing.
Cheers.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Woo.
The dog's snoring.
I was having a dream before.
Very disrespectful.
That's killer. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Good.
Cheers.
I'm glad we could finally get it done for you.
Yeah. Oh,
It took a while, but
everything does. All good things do, don't they?
yeah.